Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, Shir sponsor, Lulun Yishmas, Arm Biak Shalom, Sitzchok. We're holding in Metzia Daf Chovov. We're starting the Mishnah Daf Chofel and base in the bottom. It says the Mishnah, Motzo Begal Ubekoisel Yoshon. Someone found a Metzia in a gal, which means a pile of stone. Rashi says, from a Choyma Shenoflu, there was a wall, the wall broke down, there's a pile of rocks. Or Koisel Yoshon, or an old Koisel. The Gemara is going to explain. Harei Lushaloi, and in these cases, he could keep the Aveda. Motzo Bekoisel Chodosh, but he finds it in a new wall. Metzia Belechutz, if it's in the external part of the wall, so that then is Shaloi. Why is it his? Because he assumed it came from people walking in the street. Metzia Belefnim, but if it's in the half pointing inward, then Shal Bava Bayis, because you assume the Bava Bayis put it in there. If the house was rented to other people, even if it's in the house of Shaloi, because the houses are rented out, it's a hotel, people come in and out, you don't know who is the owner. It says what's the reason Koisel Yosh should have to give it back an old Koisel? Because you can say it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the previous generations before Am Yisrael conquered Eretz Yisrael. It says I mean, they are the only ones that hide items. He's saying it with clarity that belongs to the Amorim. It says in more we're talking about and the Shosich Tvei. Rashi the Shosich Helu Chalu Dorabo, which means what's Helu Chalu Dorabo? It means that it has a lot of rust. So there's an indication over here that it is old. If you look here on the side on the Agoras Agro, the Vilna Goyim brings a girsa that says the Shosich Tvei. Shosich means that it's something which is they bring that loshen shtia or shoisim, which means that it was really put down on the wall in a very low place, and that's why, and that shows they belong to the earlier generation. So the idea is that there's a right, there's indication over here this came from earlier time, and that's why you say it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the pure generations. When you have a new koisel, so from the external part it belongs to him, because he says about the people from the street put it. If it's a chetzul lefnim, it belongs to Bava. If you have a knife, you go based on the handle of the knife. Wherever the handle of the knife is facing, that's who put it in. And a wallet, you go based on his ropes. The way the wallet used to be like ropes that tie it up, and that's how you hold on to the wallet. So wherever these ropes or strings are pointing to, that's what belongs to. We're talking about the din of the Mishnah. Just check where the handle is or where the strings are. So the Mishnah is talking about ujos. Moichi is like a type of cotton. There's no one side pointing to, or you're talking about a piece of silver, so you don't have a raya to where it belongs to. So that's where you have to go piece in half. If the entire hole is filled with it, then you divide. Pshito, which is said half and half, so of course you divide. One side is it's slanted, it's on an angle. When we say, listen, really everything was in the top part, it just rolled down to the bottom. You go based on what you see right now, and that's how you determine who the Aveda owns, who this item belongs to. If you rent the house, somebody else, even in the house belongs to him. Why? Why don't you go based on the last one? Whoever was the last one, he's the one who owns it. The Torah brings you up shot that the Basra means the Balabais. Meaning there was people that came to visit, they left. The one who's always there is the Balabais. Seems but Rashi doesn't agree with Torah regarding this. According to Rashi, we're talking about the last guest. You find money in front of seicherim, business people, sellers of animals. You say it is meiser. Why? Because people bring the money. We're talking about in Yerushalayim. People bring the money to the seicherim to buy animals for the korbanos. So you say it's more spicy, that person, after he used more spicy to get the animal. Barabais, chulin. Barabais, he said it's chulin. Why is it chulin? Because barabais, as we'll see in a moment, they don't ever clean up barabais, because barabais always used to be clean. So it's more that came throughout the entire year. It could be it came from mice, it could be not. It could go from the majority. Majority of days, people that here are just living in Yerushalayim, and they have money that's not a kasper mice. Will be Yerushalayim. Shaim was a shana doing a regular day of the year. Chulin. Why? Because it belongs to the people who live in the city. Most money is not meiser. Shasa regular kol meiser. But the regular, everybody who comes to Yerushalayim is bringing money to use it for kasper meiser. For Omer Shvayo Bazir my time. What's the reason Yerushalayim is different than Arabais? Hoyel be Shuki Yerushalayim assuming is Kab B'Choyoyim. They clean up Yerushalayim every single day. So any money that was there earlier is cleaned up. Only thing that's left is what's coming in today. Today, you go based on what it is today. Harabais is not cleaned up every day. She says, because on a mountain, it's usually there's wind, it cleans up on its own. So therefore, money that's there could have been there from before. So it says, well, what do you see from Yalna? I mean, you always, when your people clean up, you assume whatever you have here is coming from the last one. So here, you're saying the guests, when they leave, they clean up, and the new guest comes in, he checks out to see whatever is there. So probably belongs to the last guest. According to Rashi, according to this Balabais does that. So that's what he was asking. We would say the first one's left, it belongs to the last one. Talking about they did it a pundok to 3 Jews. And therefore what? And therefore, the last one is the three Jews. So according to Rashi, we're looking at who's the last guest. Last guest is 3 people. So none of them feels comfortable. In other words, there's a wrapping, because even if someone lost it, there's other 2 that we don't, that it was lost when you have a majority of people that found it. It's called a wrapping, and that wrapping should really cancel this. It's considered to be open in place of a wrapping. So it says the Gemara, what do you see from here? Shvami, no, look at Shimon Lozo, I feel B'Rov Yisrael. You see here, look at Shimon Lozo, you go based on, if you fell in place of Rov, you don't have to get back to Avedo, even if it's Rov Yisrael. Okay, you said here, talk about 3 Yisrael. The Mepharshim do point out that we didn't say before, we talked about Shus Rabim, we spoke about a big street, and we spoke about a big plaza. Here we're talking about a house, they have only 3 people. Is that the same Rabbin that we had before? What's the difference between this and what we said before, that it needs to be specifically something which is a much more rabbi. So different answers in the Rishonim. The Ramban says the only when there is a simin, then you say they need to have a big place, because then it's a misyash. If not, they won't be misyash. But if there's no simin like by us, then you don't have to have so many people. Right? The Ritva says depends. There's a difference between people live in the place or people are passing by. Passing by, you need to have a lot of people in order for it to be at a vedo. But if you're living there, people clean up and take other stuff. Okay. So Gemara says you have 3 and 3 Yisrael, and that's what it is. The Rashi said, according to Tosis, 3 would be, as comes to days later, the Balabayas and 2 other people. Because that's the 3. Because according to Tosis, you talk about the Balabayas here, at least according to the first picture of Tosis. Says the Gemara, if you want to say the halachas of Shimon Lozo even B'Rov Yisrael, so look at Shasor put the Gleshloishoy of the Kochim. Talk about he gave it to 3 goyim. 3 goyim were the last guest over here. Why 3 goyim? So here we have again the Machlokes Rishonim. Rashi learns if it's not 3, if the 3 goyim is lav dafka, it means 1 goyim. I mean it's a guy. So there's no din over here to give it back to it, right? Right? As Losh Rashi, look at Rashi says, the last one was a guy, so that's why you don't assume that you don't have to give it back to him. The Taisus learns, we're talking about specifically you have 3. Right? Because if it's not 3, it's not Roy. And you're going back to Balabais, you assume it belongs to Balabais. Taisus, again, in Lishitosar holds, we're talking about the Balabais is here, so it belongs to Balabais. According to Rashi, we never thought it belongs to Balabais. We wanted to belong to the last guy, the last guest. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Omar, Rav Avu, Afil Tim Shlosh Yisrael. Talk about Shlosh Yisrael. Hi, so you mean you're going to Basar Roib? No. Matayna, who didn't know the name Yain? She's still going to give up hope. says, by me, I was there with two other guests. That's the only people that were there. And I told them a few times, please give it back to me. They didn't listen to me. They said that we don't know where it is. And now they give it back. If they want to give it back, they'll give it back to me already. The fact they don't want to give it back to me, they want to steal from me. And that's what it is. Meaning, you say, oh, it's right people, so he gives up hope. But you could say, even maybe if it's really strong, no, I'm going to call him, I'm going to try to find the person who found it, and hopefully they'll give it back to me. But here you know who the people are with you. And they're not giving it back to you. That means they're not interested in giving it back to you. So the guy gives up hope because he says that means this, how will they be able to take the money out? Each one says is the other one found it. I can never get to find it. So the more also Nachman time. Rav goes to shitos with this idea. He sees money falling out of two different people. Lach says, give it back. My time. The one who fell for him, it's not giving up hope. The only other person with me is the second person. I'm going to go to him and say, you're the one who took it. There's only two people here. So he's not giving up hope. He's sure that his friend is the one who found it. If there's three people walking together and one lost something, you say you don't have to give it back. My time. One who felt they lost the money, he gives up hope. There's two people that were with me. I go to one and he says, let me take it. Go to the other one. In other words, I'm never going to find it. So you give up hope when a person figures there's no way for him to extract this money. When you have three people, you have to give it back. You don't have a shreputo for each one of the three. So you have an item, you have a coin. It doesn't have shreputo for three prutos. If you have a pruto sheet for each one, why? I'm assuming they're partners. They're not giving up hope. So why is he lost it? Why is it? What is the guy thinking? If they're partners and he lost the coin and he figures out the other two friends found it, so why are they not giving it back? So Rashi says, he's saying they're trying just to annoy me a little bit. We're partners, we all own it. Right now, it's probably in their hands. Some say, I'm going to list with even if it's only worth two prutas, they'll get it back. My time maybe they're shooting. And one of them give up his portion. So he says, you know what, I'm giving it up. So as partners, they are more relying on their friends, that they'll probably give it back to them. Toys asks me, why do you say the two of them are partners, and what is that? So Toys says that one of the answers, it says usually three people that go together, they're either all partners or not, but they're not partners at all. To say the two are partners, what is that? That we don't say. It says the Gemara, he sees a coin falling down off, notlo lifnei yush aminat ligoizlo. He picks up before yush in order to steal it. So now we're going into the hilchos avedo. Person sees a coin. A person sees a sel shenoflo, and we're talking about before yush. He should do a shavas avedo. Oiver bekulo is over all the averos. Which averos? Mishum lo sigzo. You're stealing. What's the stealing over here? You're taking something that doesn't belong to you. First, we explain why is lo signo, because lo signo is only when you go and take it and you're embarrassed to take it. Here, it's considered to be like exile. Umishum shev teshivim, he's supposed to give it back, and he took it in order to steal it. So his mindset is not to give it back. Umishum lo sucha lisalim, and also he was over on the Isser of Avedo, of the Lav. Don't ignore something. Here he basically ignored it, took it to himself. Says the Gemara, and then he give it back. After you give it back. It's a gift. It's very nice to give it back. But he really did the issue. You can't fix that issue. After the fact, the issue is gone. Taisa says, what about Lois Sigzu? Lois Sigzu is called Itikla. And every law of Itikla, whenever you do the essay, you fix it. So Taisa says, Lois Sigzu, you do have a din that Lois Sigzu is fixed. What it means that what's not fixed is that Hashem Teshivim Lois Suchal Lisalim. But Lois Sigzu you do fix. In other words, we shouldn't argue on this point. Says the Gemara, not like yush, I'm not like zero. He to pick it up in order to give it back. Well, the hachi yush is coming the gospel. Then after yush, you know what? I'm not giving it back. Or even mishum hashem teshivim. He didn't misalim. He was planning to give it back, and he's giving mishum hashem teshivim. He is over the isser of hashem teshivim. Himtin lo achi nisyash rabbi and wait till the Biden give a pope. V'noto, then he took it. He's only over a loy suchal isalim because he just ignored it and didn't pick it up. He didn't do any stealing. Now, the two interesting points here. One point is the Ramban. Here's this famous Ramban. The Ramban says that when a person picks up the Avedo before Yush, he is still over the Averis, and you don't say that once Yush came, he's koined it. That's what he says. Because he came to his hand, he was taking it as an Avedo. So and the Ramban explains why. Because he took it as an Avedo, he became a Shomer. And if he's a Shomer, you don't have Yush. Why is that so? So the Ktsois explains, the Pshat is, because when he's a Shomer, he's representing the owner. So the owner gave a pope, but he's the one representing the owner. He didn't give a pope. So that's why for him, from his point of view, from his standpoint, he didn't give a pope, and he's representing the Bible. The Sibah says, because the whole idea of Yush works only when something is lost from the owner. But here's not going to be lost owner as if it's in his chutzah. Because the Shomer is the one putting the chutzah, so then Yush is not right. Now the Gemara spoke about when he took it up, he took it, picked it up, and his mindset was to give it back. And then he decided, you know what, I'm not going to give it back. So the Gemara says, he's only because he didn't give it back. What about Lo Suchal Lisalim? The Pashas Lo Shel Gemara Mashri is not really about Lo Suchal Lisalim, because Lisalim means to ignore it. He didn't ignore it, he picked it up. He didn't do Lo Suchal Lisalim. But some Rishonim learn that Lo Suchal Lisalim, he is over there as well. And that's what the Baal Mor learns. Most Rishonim learn is not over Lo Suchal Lisalim. But the Baal Mor says he does. So explain that Achronim, it's brought down the name of Chaim Brisket. What's Pshat? The Shem, what does Lo Suchal Lisalim mean? If Lo Suchal Lisalim means don't ignore it, don't ignore the chayfetz. Or Lo Suchal Lisalim means don't ignore it, give it back to the owner. Right? Is the Pshat is that he is ignoring it and not picking it up, or ignoring not giving it back to the owner? So if you hold Lo Suchal Lisalim means you ignore not to pick it up, he picked it up. If you say he didn't give it back, so he's still over on Lo Suchal Lisalim. Says the Gemara, a person sees money falling from someone's pocket into the sand. He only took it himself. Doesn't give it back. The one who lost it in the sand, he gives a pope. He sees him taking a sifter, and he's sifting the things. So you see the what? He's taking a arbel and sifting the sand. You see, he didn't give a pope. So well, you know why? The reason he's sifting it, he's feeling, probably the reason I lost money in the sand. Maybe someone else lost money in the sand. Let me go look in the sand and try to see, maybe I can retrieve some money. Maybe not my money, someone else's money. But his money, he gave up. Says the Mishnah, you find something in the store, it's his. Why? Because something has no sim, as Rashi says, because in the store, many people go in the store. You assume it fell for somebody, he gave a book. But if it's the place where the grocer sits, between the place where he sits and where he sits down at the table where he accepts the clients, shulchan money. Because that probably fell for him, he's the only one who sits in that area. The shulchani is a person who is a changer, changes money, like the bank in those days. Haril Shulay, it says, because again, whoever lost it, gave up. Where the shulchani sits, his chair, and the shulchan himself. The din is Haril Shulay. So it belongs. So Haril Shulchani belongs to shulchani. Why? Because that's where the person is sitting. He goes in the speaker. What about on the table itself? A person takes fruits from his friend. Or friend send him pairs. He finds money in it. It says because you assume that the Gemara is going to say you don't know where the fruits came from, and therefore the money is his. But if it's in a bundle covered up, so there's a siman noitul machmas. Says the Gemara, it says even if the money is on the shulchan, still he can take it. It says in front of the shulchan, meaning the floor, it says, but on the shulchan itself, on the table itself, belongs to shulchan. Between the chair and the shulchan himself, the area of shulchan, it says, how he can't be a raya, the diuk is not a diuk. How does he know? What's that a problem with the Mishnah? Why is it between the chair and the shulchan? Shulchan is lit near shulchan. Say shulchan. What's up with shulchan? You say the word is founded in the shulchan. It's like you found in the chan. You found in the store. So Belazar, he was more medayik. The idea of the shulchan, because that would bother him more. It doesn't make sense. The structure of the Mishnah sounds that you come in to exclude shulchan, even though the Seif is Lasha differently. The change of Lasha tells you it's on a shulchan. Right. Says the Gemara, he takes fruit from his friend. He's taking it from a wholesaler. So why? Because he bought from many people as well. So that because he bought from many people, so therefore you assume that maybe the money came to somebody else. Then he has to give back the money to the Balabais. Took it from this wholesaler. They have to give it back. So I don't say, even if you take fruits from the Balabais, the Balabais himself, he's the one who's, we're talking about tful, grain, he's the one who grind it, meaning he has workers that are working for him. Maybe he fell for the workers. Should I take out and you write? I should say that even if you took a Balabais, you never know where the money came from. The ones who worked in it, it's not just regular workers, it's talking about his slaves. So his slaves, belongs to the owner. So that's why you have to give him back the money. But if other people are involved, you assume maybe the money came from somebody else. So if the money came from somebody else, then you have to give it back. Then you don't have to give it back because he's Mesiash. If it's true, you have a siman, that's what Mishnah said, you have to give it back. Because once you have a siman, then a person doesn't give a hope, and there's a siman to give it back, that becomes, again, a regular type of an Aveda. We'll stop over here. Hashem continue in the next year.